See this, inverse of a function. Let f be a function from a to b. If the inverse relation f inverse from b to a is a function, then it is called inverse of function f, and it is denoted by f inverse from b to a. So what is the meaning of it is, I'll just take an example and explain you. See this, if you have a set A and a set B, let's say we have three elements here, A, B, C, and we have three elements here, 1, 2, 3, and f is a function mapping all the elements of A to elements of B this way. A is mapped to 1, B is mapped to 2, and C is mapped to 3. Now what about f inverse? F inverse exists. F inverse will be a function only when you take the inverse mapping and if you see that it is a function. Now see this, if the mapping from A to B is A is mapped to 1, B is mapped to 2, C is mapped to 3, then F inverse will be a mapping from B to A in such a way that 1 is mapped to A, 2 is mapped to B, and 3 is mapped to C, isn't it? Now if you take that inverse, it is going to be a function. The reason is every element in B will have an image in A, and also there will be exactly one image. Therefore inverse of this function exists, right? Okay, I'll just give you one more example to just show you that every function will not have inverses. Let us say A is a function like this. We have three elements and the same one, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Now let us assume that f is mapping A to 1 and also B to 1 and C to 2. Now what can you say about inverse? So if you try to find out the inverse function, it will not exist. The reason is, if you try to see the inverse, see, 1 is mapped to two elements. So according to the definition of a function, we cannot have one element mapped to more than one element. That is why if you take the inverse of this function, since one element is mapped to more than one element here, it cannot be a function. And also one more reason here is, the element 3 is not mapped to any elements here, therefore it cannot be possible, right? So if you try to see this, it is very clear that if a function has to have an inverse, then every element in B should have only one image in A, isn't it? Therefore the original function should be 1 to 1, right? So what do I mean by that? See, here two elements are having same image, and that is why when I take the inverse of it, this one element is getting two elements as images, right? That is why this failed to be this failed to be a function. The reason is it failed to be 1, 1. So if a function has to be, if an inverse has to exist, and if it has to be a function, then definitely the original function should be 1, 1. And the second reason, if you observe why this inverse failed, is that the element 3 does not have any image here, right, or any pre-image here. So why did it happen? Because the function is not on 2. So if the function is on 2, then it can be a function, and it can exist, it can have a inverse. So what I mean to say is, if the original function, if it is both 1, 1 and on 2, then only inverse of that function will exist. So why these two conditions are required? One is, if it is 1, 1, then every element here will have only one element here, instead of one element having two elements as images here. That is the reason it should be 1, 1. And why should it be on 2? Because every element here will have exactly or at least one image here, otherwise it will not have, right? So a function will have an inverse only when it is 1, 1 and on 2. So see this theorem, inverse of a function f exists if f is a bisection. Bisection means if it is both 1, 1 and on 2. Okay, some questions are possible like this: which of the following will have inverse? See this, f of x is defined as x square and f of x is defined as x cube. Which one of these will have inverse existing? So in order to answer this, you should find out which one of these are bisections. If you can find out if they are bisection, you can say that inverse exists. We already know that x square is not 1, 1, isn't it? F of x equal to x square is not 1, 1 function. The reason is 1 will be mapped to 1 as well as minus 1 will also be mapped to 1, right? And it is defined on set of all real numbers, which means we both have negative numbers and positive numbers. So since 1 and minus 1, two elements are mapped to the same element, when you try to find the inverse, one element will try to get mapped to more than one element. Therefore it is not a 1-1 function, and so it cannot be having any inverse. Now if you look at this one, we have already seen it earlier that f of x equal to x cube is a bisection. It is both 1-1 as well as onto. So what can we say? So since it is both 1-1 and onto, we can say that inverse exists. Okay, fine.
Hi, if you are planning to do masters, then doing masters abroad is better than doing masters in India. I'll give you all the reasons. So first reason is, out of 1 lakh students who take GATE every year, there are only 500 seats in old IITs. So all the IITs put together have an acceptance rate of 0.5%. And IITs, universities better than IITs, they have very good acceptance rate like 30%, 40%. But all the IITs put together have an acceptance rate of 0.5%. And if you are working hard to get into IIT Bombay's ranking is 177 and IIT Roorkee's ranking is 400. If you are happy to get into IIT Roorkee, then getting into universities better than IIT Roorkee is easier compared to getting into IIT Roorkee. And looking at the salaries for computer science, for software jobs, if you have done your masters in computer science in US, the salaries are ranging from 80 lakhs per year to 1.2 crore per year. So even if you take an average of 1 crore per year, your savings will be much higher than the salaries in India. After taxes and your cost of living, you can easily save 40 to 50 lakhs per year. And in India, the maximum jobs that you get is around 30 lakhs. So your savings will be much greater than the salaries in India. And these are all the services that we provide. University shortlisting. So depending on your profile, we will shortlist what are the universities that you have to apply, and statement of purpose building, and then LOR guidance, and GRE and English test assistance, and education loan assistance. So you don't have to have any collateral, which means without any security, now you can get education loan. Getting education loan is very simple these days, and whatever the amount of fee that you have a range of universities. You can apply for 10 lakh universities, 20 lakh universities or 50 lakh universities, but whatever it is, you are going to get complete education loan, and you can pay off your education loan in 1 year after you get a job. And then we do visa assistance, mock visa interviews, and then connecting with the university alumni. So now you might ask why we should join Game of Visas. So the answer is, we have 90% success rate, 99% success rate. And these are all the destinations that we guide the students to. So we guide students to any country that you want to go. So now it is not just USA. We guide to UK, Germany, Australia, Canada. So we guide students to all the countries. We work with all the destinations. And if you are interested in going abroad, you have to just drop us a message on this WhatsApp number 9494 555 454. Okay, thank you.